Fight Fuel MMA is coming at you with our UFC Vegas 11 Woodley vs. Covington pre-fight breakdown on the card you didn't know you wanted to watch.
We got UFC Vegas 11 going down Saturday, September 19th at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, this is the card that, as Dave said earlier, is the one that you didn't know you wanted to see. Why is that?
Well, based on the main event of this card, I was not psyched for it. The main event is going to be Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington, and I heard about it, and it didn't get me interested. Now, there had been some beef between Woodley and Covington, like a year back. It was hot. They were talking back and forth to each other. You were interested. You wanted to see what would happen. Now, Woodley has been looking terrible. Woodley has lost every round in like his last 3 fights. Covington is still running his right-wing Make America Great shtick, but he's not running it as hard. Nobody really cares. Just the main event is generating zero interest.
Yes. I mean, we tried to figure out how to spin it for this video, and we rewatched some of their fights, and Woodley just, I don't know, it just seems like he kind of gave up in the last couple fights. It doesn't seem like he's the same fighter that he was before he got the championship way back in the day. He is a fighter who has all of this potential in the world, but we haven't really seen that in his last couple of performances.
No, and his coach, Dean Thomas, was talking about this. He was talking about how Woodley needs to let his hands go, and he hasn't been. And what Dean Thomas was saying was, this was a problem he ran into in his fighting career, and it's part of the reason he retired. He said, you get to a certain age, you're not as hungry, and there's a guy standing across the cage from you, and rather than beating him up, you'd rather take him out to dinner, in Dean Thomas's words. Now, I think this is the crux of this fight, because I think Colby Covington is still hungry, and I think he wants to eat, and he's going to steal Tyron Woodley's lunch money to do it.
Wow, that was...
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Did you just come off with that?
Yeah, like half an hour ago. I came up with it. It was good, right? That's that. That's the main event. Woodley, Covington. If booked at the right time, a year ago, this could have been a fire main event. Yeah. Right now, there's so many other things that are more interesting going on. It's just not the most captivating main event.
Especially in the welterweight division, there are so many brand new up-and-coming contenders that much more hype is behind at this moment. So, granted, Tyron Woodley is a former Strikeforce champion, former UFC champion, and a dominant one at that. Knocking people out with that right, his wrestling is insanely quick and strong, and his takedown defense, up until the Gilbert Burns fight, was impeccable.
But, you just said it. Former Strikeforce champ, former UFC champ, used to be. I think Tyron Woodley's done, and I think we're going to find out this Saturday night exactly how done he is. I'm picking Colby Covington to win via unanimous decision. Covington's not going to knock Woodley out, but he's just going to outwork him every round, and Woodley is not going to let his hands go because he doesn't want to do it anymore. End of story.
Yeah, with Covington, his constant volume of striking and his insane cardio is what is going to get the job done. And like Dave said, he's hungrier. So, unfortunate for Woodley, but good on Covington. He needs this win right now, especially if he wants to hype himself back up again.
And since we already know what's going to happen, congratulations, Colby Covington, on your win against Tyron Woodley on the 19th. Okay, so we got the main event done with, and now we could move on to why this card is so fucking good. We've got a fan favorite fighter, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, versus an all-action brawler, Nico the Hybrid Price. This is great. You're gonna see if Cerrone has still got it in the tank, or you're gonna see if Price is ready to build himself off a name, start putting back-to-back wins together, and start making moves in the division.
Yeah, a back-to-back win is what Nico Price needs right now. He's coming off of win-loss, win-loss. I don't know what order it's in. I'll put a graphic out on there, but he's been stop-start, stop-start. He's a very exciting fighter to watch, which is great that they matched him up against Cowboy Cerrone, because he is also a highlight reel in of himself. Most finishes in UFC history, most wins in UFC history. He is an extremely active fighter. I mean, the resume for Cerrone goes on, and everyone loves him, and Nico Price is someone who can catapult himself with a win off of Cerrone in the style that he fights.
That is true. And it's also an opportunity for Cerrone to stop, I believe, a 4-fight losing streak. Now, this has happened to Cerrone before. He's gone into a skid, and they've given him somebody he could beat. Most recently, I remember he got matched up with Yancy Medeiros, coming off some losses, and he won that fight. It got him moving forward again. He wound up winning 3 more fights in quick succession, kind of put him back on track. This is a matchup that can benefit both fighters.
Yeah.
Cerrone desperately needs to prove, probably to himself, that he can still do this at the highest level. Nico Price really needs to start stringing some victories together. Both fighters can get reward out of winning this fight, and
Absolutely.
in and of itself, a loss to either of these guys is not the worst thing in the world that's going to happen to you. You lose to Cowboy, you still get the Cowboy rub. You lose to Price, everybody knows he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
Excellent matchmaking for this co-main event.
Yeah, I don't know what the implications are moving forward. Title implications, ranking implications, nah, I don't think any of that was in order when they decided to put this fight together. I think they were like, we just need a super exciting fight. Let's give our fans a fucking show.
Hell yeah.
So, with all of that taken into consideration, who do you have to win the co-main event?
I'm going to pick Price. I think Cowboy's career is winding down, and I think Price is a good, solid fighter. Yeah, he's got wins and losses backed up, but on any given night, he could give trouble to anybody.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that could literally go either way. You don't know. One thing that has been Cerrone's Achilles heel is his slow start. If he can get past the first round, if he can correct that mistake, maybe he can pull out the victory. So I'm going to give it to Cowboy. I want to see him fight more. So come on, Cowboy, you got this.
Moving on to the most hyped fight on this card. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the one of the fighters in this fight has been getting so much hype online
much.
from the UFC.
Rightfully so.
Possibly rightfully
Well
so.
deserved.
Maybe well deserved. But we've got Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert. Okay, here's the crazy thing about this fight. No matter what happens, one way or the other, Chimaev is booked again in a month to fight Demian Maia.
Yes. Now, right now, he's fighting at middleweight. He's going to drop down to welterweight
To fight Maia.
to fight Maia. So he is fighting in 2 different weight classes. And how many times has he fought this year alone?
He fought twice on Fight Island within a week of the other fight.
Yeah.
And now this will be 4 fights this calendar year, with fights going either back-to-back by a week or back-to-back by a month. If he pulls this off and wins all the fights he's booked to fight this calendar year, the man is a machine.
Yeah. Doing it with very little octagon time. I mean, his professional fight career, the span of it has only seen under 20 minutes of octagon time.
Like 17 and a half minutes.
Which is why his turnaround time is so fast. He just does smash everybody. So he does it so fast, he doesn't do anything past the second round. No one's seen that.
No, he's never gone into the third round in his entire career.
Needless
his
to
average
say.
fight time is like 3.5 minutes or something. And the 2 fights he had in the actual octagon in the UFC were quick and brutal. He has a good way on the mic. He's got a laconic, kind of laid-back way of speaking that belies the way he performs in the octagon. People are billing him as Khabib 2.0. Specifically, his manager Ali Abdelaziz is billing him as Khabib 2.0. But the point is, people are so high on Chimaev that they've already written off Gerald Meerschaert. This fight is a walkover in the eyes of many, which is not necessarily true. It's at middleweight. Chimaev fights at 170. I don't think he's as big as Meerschaert, and Meerschaert's a solid veteran. Something like 30-13 his record or something.
Yeah, however, UFC, he's gone 6-5, so he's got like a little bit of a start in the UFC. So
okay, well in the UFC,
that's where they're counting him out.
Chimaev has gone 2-0. We talked about his octagon experience, but it's really cage experience. His octagon experience is like 8 minutes worth of fighting.
Yeah, barely.
So, look, we've seen this happen in the past. We've seen fighters like Johnny Walker get pushed really fast, hyped up. They win some fights. And I remember people were calling for Johnny Walker to be fighting John Jones next. And then he goes and breaks his shoulder doing the worm in the octagon, gets smashed a couple times. And now Johnny Walker is fighting below Chimaev on the same card Saturday the 19th. So
shows you how fast the cycle is.
Yes, it shows you how quick.
Short of a window you have to prove yourself and build yourself up to where the UFC is already booking fights in advance for you.
But this is, I don't know if it's unprecedented, but I have not heard of this recently.
Yeah, it's not something that they do often.
No, and Dana White said he would never do this for anybody else. If anybody has heard of a fighter having a fight booked and then having another fight booked within a month's time, drop it in the comments because I would like to know who that is. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
He basically lives out of his gym.
He does.
So, because he always wants to be ready to fight. This man, it's in his blood. He should just run for president of Fight Island and we'll just call it a day.
Yo, if Chimaev runs for president of Fight Island, Diamond Dave is going to be there to run directly opposite him. And that would be an epic campaign. But enough about that. Point is, I think people are getting hyped about Chimaev. Rightfully so. I think he has star potential. I just want to remind everybody, the man's had 2 fights in the UFC. Let's see. Does he get past Gerald Meerschaert? Does he then go on at 185? Does he then go on to drop down to 170 and beat Demian Maia? If he wins those 2 fights back to back, I'll be sold on him. Right now, I'd like to reserve judgment and just enjoy seeing how he fights. Since everybody is so hyped about Khamzat Chimaev, we're actually doing a fighter spotlight on him. We're going to drop a link for that in this video, and that'll be coming out after this UFC Vegas 11 pre-fight breakdown, like a day or 2 after, so you can check back in on us for that. So, moving on from Khamzat Chimaev to a fighter we were just talking about 2 seconds ago, we've got Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann in the light heavyweight division.
Now, go into a little more detail about the arm breaking and stuff like that.
It's just part of the kind of cautionary tale of either buying into your own hype or getting hyped too much. Johnny Walker used to do this thing with the worm. After he won a fight, he would drop to the octagon, he'd worm around like Scotty Tuhati from the WWE, and he did that after a victory against somebody, I don't even remember who. He does that shit, and he breaks or pops his shoulder or some shit, literally, doing his post-fight celebration. That's bad. Don't do that. Worse is the fact that everybody was on his dick so hard to the point where they're talking about he would be a good test for Jones, and then look, that's the point. We don't know. These new hot fighters coming to the UFC, they get a couple wins, and everybody wants them to be next in line for title contention. I don't think that's the way it should work. That's why we're here right now with Johnny Walker, early, even though he's still on the main card, fighting Ryan Spann, another guy who, he's got some hype, but he's doing it a little better. Ryan Spann is a guy coming from Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He lost his first fight on the Contender Series. He won his second. He got signed into the UFC. And now, I think he's either won 3 or 4 fights in the UFC. He's steadily accruing victories, and they're not pushing him too fast. That's how it's done.
Yeah.
So here we've got Spann versus Walker. Walker's going to be looking to get back on track. Spann is going to be looking to build himself a bit off this guy, Johnny Walker, who still has a name. It's a good matchup with value for both fighters.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to win this. Who do you got?
I have no idea. I don't know who takes it.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out on Saturday, September 19th.
UFC Vegas 11. Woodley Covington.
Now, moving on, we have Brazil's sweetheart, Mackenzie Dern.
Porra!
We love her.
Vanquiamos! I don't even know what Vanquiamos means.
And she's going against Brandon Marcos.
She is. And I think this is maybe the second best stylistic matchup on this whole card. Because in one corner, you've got Mackenzie Dern, who has shown a willingness to throw wild shots on the feet, let it all fly, because she knows she carries that jiu-jitsu around her back pocket. She gets taken down, she doesn't give a fuck. She'll tap you out.
Anyway.
Yes. Now across the cage from her, you've got Randa Markos, who is a tough Canadian wrestler who can box. They're going to wind up grappling. They're going to start on the feet, and I think Markos is going to say to herself, I could take this woman down, and I could dominate her on the ground. And I think Mackenzie Dern...
Tall order.
Yeah, but I think that's what's going to happen, and I think Markos' confidence in her grappling ability is going to be her Achilles heel, and she's going to get that Achilles heel hooked by Mackenzie Dern.
Ooh.
Fight over.
Well, if Randa Markos decides to keep it on the feet, that is how I think she can take this victory. I believe that her boxing is a little more technically sound, a little tighter, and her combinations will definitely be able to get off on Mackenzie Dern on the feet. If she keeps it standing, I can see her getting a unanimous decision victory. Otherwise, if anything goes to the ground at all, that is all Dern. That is her turf.
I think in raw power, I think Dern is stronger than Markos. I think she probably punches harder, but like Joe was saying, I think Markos' striking is a little more polished. She reminds me of like an old school wrestle boxer from the early days of the UFC, but up to the standards of the modern era.
Yes, yeah. She's got a lot of octagon experience, and if she does win, it will be that experience and that the mileage that she has in the UFC that she'd be able to get a victory over Dern, who is still fairly new in the UFC. She's been very active, though.
Yeah,
so
she has.
Impressive. She had a baby in between her fights.
Yeah, and ironically,
unheard of.
After she had her kid, that's when she stopped having weight issues. So, I mean...
Good for her.
Yeah,
to see her have an issue, correct it, and man, she's really, really going all out. I really would like to see her win, although it would be nice to see Markos win too, so I'm going to give it to Dern, though. I think she's going to tap her out.
Yeah, I think Dern by submission, because like I said, I think Markos is going to believe in her own grappling, and it's going to come back to bite her in the ass.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. We got more fights. What's next?
It's going to be a matchup between Kevin Trailblazer Holland versus Darren the Dentist Stewart. Now, Kevin Holland is a fighter that I told you to watch out for a couple videos ago. Kevin Holland has the whole package. This guy has a fluid, snappy striking style. He has really good grappling, and he fucking talks every minute of every fight, and I think it messes with his opponent's head.
It must.
It has to. It's a pleasure to watch. I would put it on par. It's different, but it's almost as good as Diaz brother trash talking. This guy, I'm telling you, a couple more victories, and this guy is going to be getting top 10 fights at middleweight.
Yeah, because not only does he talk the talk, he walks the walk. He finishes his fights. Quick turnaround time for him, too. He just fought. He's fresh in your mind. Mm-hmm. Spectacular knockout.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and who is he fighting? Across from him, Darren Stewart, who just came off of, from the same card, a different opponent, obviously. Spectacular submission, finish, guillotine, gnarly guillotine. It was like, gnarly. It was beautiful. This is like going to be fireworks. A great way to start off the card, because you know Kevin Holland's going to be talking trash. Or
as
just
he always
talking.
Does. Just talking.
Just talking.
He's not even talking trash.
Yeah.
He's just talking.
Just talking.
Do you remember the first fight he fought Thiago Santos on like a week's notice, and he came in and he was getting mangled by him. He was holding his own, but he's getting mangled, and he's talking to him, and he's talking to the ref, and he's talking to his corner, and it's Thiago Maheta Santos. The guy's a beast, and Holland's just like, yeah, oh, that was nice. You're fucking punching my face. Yeah, good job. I know. You want to get up? Yeah, let's get up. It's one of my favorite things to watch in the UFC right now.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very tall order for Darren Stewart. I feel like this is a big step up in his opponents that he has faced in the past. So I kind of got to say, I kind of got to give this to Kevin Holland. I think that he's just a little bit better in the places that's going to matter.
I think he's a lot better.
Matchup.
He's a lot better. I don't think Darren. I don't. You're trying to be nice, but I don't think Darren Stewart can grapple with him, because Stewart did have that really nice guillotine, but that's his only submission finish in his whole pro career. I don't think Stewart can strike with him either. I think Stewart is physically stronger than Holland. But shit, look at Holland's last fight. I forget the name of the dude he fought. But that dude was definitely physically stronger than Holland too. And it doesn't matter because of Holland's technique.
Yeah.
And because... talk.
Lots of talk. So, no matter what, we're going to hear a lot.
In the empty arena. You
Yes.
can hear everything. It's great. Alright, so that wraps up the main card for UFC Vegas 11. Woodley vs. Covington at the UFC Apex. Like we said, maybe you didn't know you wanted to watch this card. But if you don't know, now you know.
Are you going to watch the fight? Are you guys hyped to see this card? Who do you have to win?
Yeah. Get at us, and don't forget to tune back in to our featured, Fight Fuel featured spotlight. We don't know what we're calling it. This is the first one we're doing. But we're doing a video on Khamzat Chimaev exclusively because, he's blowing up.
And he's going to smash everybody.
He's going to smash... I mean, he's probably going to smash Gerald Meerschaert, but I don't know if he's going to smash Damian Maia. We'll talk about it more in the video.
Yeah. All right.
Fight Fuel MMA, signing out.